Hello my creative friends, this is your tutor Anjali Tamde from Global Cake Toppers, and today I'm going to teach you how to do this stunning and vibrant poppet cake. It's really popular with kids and everyone loves the colors. So I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks how to get this effect on the cake, how to do it in a simpler way, and most importantly how to get those vibrant colors on your cake. So let's get started. Now, as you can see, I have different colored sugar paste here. This is Saracino. It's Saracino pasta model there. Now, you can buy ready-made colors or you could add some gel colors into them to get these shades. I have nice lilac here, some pink, orange, yellow, blue, green, and some dark green there. That's kind of mint green. You need some cornstarch for dusting. Now I have these cutters here that I got, but if you don't have these, what you could do is you have those piping nozzles, and the other end of that piping nozzle, you could just use two different nozzles there, two different sizes, and use the other end for cutting. I have a brush and a knife here. You could use any regular knife, rolling pin, and my mat. I have two of my chocolate biscuit cakes here that is covered with Saracino pasta top. Now you can even use a sponge cake covered with ganache or cream. It's completely up to you, but the decoration is not going to affect. So you can use the pop the bubble decoration that we are going to do on a cream cake or a fondant cake. It completely depends on what you want to use it for, but you can use it for any of the cakes there. So let's put our small tier on top of the bigger one here. Center it well. Okay, I have three different designs that I have on my papers here. So one of them is the chocolate, the toffee kind of design that I've done. This is for the candy ice cream, and this is for the regular cone ice cream that I have done. Now I intend to have it in rainbow colors, so I have around 7 lines here that I managed to get. Now it depends on the size of the cutters that you have, so you'll have to draw those lines depending on the size of cutters that you would have, so that it fits in those lines there. Now you can go bigger or smaller depending on that. And because I want this to be a nice summery kids theme, I have used a nice yellow background there on my cakes, and I intend to use bright colors that would be really catchy for any kid during a summer party there. I'm going to use a sketch pen to darken this design here before I start with my decorations there. I am going to put this as a template for you all so that you can download it and print it yourself. Now when you're drawing this on a piece of paper, or for example you want to make your own design, for example you want to do a unicorn there, so you can draw the outlines of that unicorn, divide those lines into the number of colors you intend to have that fidget toy there. And then most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, you need to measure the size of your cutter that you have and leave enough gap in between both of those so that it fits in well. The last one here is the candy ice cream. Ice creams, I think it's the most favorite fidget toy I have seen. It's so colorful there. And you're nearly there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start with this first, this design, and place it underneath my mat here so that I can see it clearly and I can work on top of my mat. And that's the reason I wanted to outline it with my sketch pen so that I can see it nice and clearly, and so that you can see it on the mat here. Okay, we have our design placed on the mat, and the same design that I have cut into pieces. This is something that we are going to use as a template as well, and I'll show you how. I have even numbered them. So I have started from here, that I'm going to start with as number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This makes creating our decoration a lot easier. Now I have my pink sugar paste here. It's called Starchino Pasta Model, and it's a lovely pink there. So let's roll this. Dust a little cornstarch and place your modeling paste there. And start rolling it. Now we don't want it very thin. I'm looking for a thickness of 0.3 to 0.4 millimeters there. Now if you are a newbie or a beginner and you really can't make out what thickness, it roughly has to be slightly thicker like this. But if you can't get even thickness all over, I would suggest you to use dough bars. They are very helpful for the beginners. So when you place those 2 dough bars and you roll, you get even thickness all over. Now we are going to place this template and cut out that shape there. Now it tends to stretch a bit when you're cutting, so just get that into shape. And whatever extra bits you have, you can just trim them. Like this. Smoothen the edges a bit. And you're going to place it up here. Now, once again, start rolling it. This time we are going to roll it slightly thinner, and we want one elongated piece here, because we now want to cut out strips. You can use a scale here if you want, or a sharp knife to cut those even strips. I'm using my pizza cutter and this kind of cutter here. So you could cut it using a pizza cutter like that, or you can cut out strips using this. Like this, that we are going to have around that ice cream there. Now, roughly the thickness of my strips would be 1 centimeter. So I'm going to cut all my strips like that, and then we'll start gluing them. Apply some glue on the edges. And then start. I'm actually going to start from this point here. If you remember the quilling cake, that the tutorial that I showed you about cutting strips and decorating on your cake there, it's the same way that you would cut your strips. Now just trim those extra bits there. And your second strip, you're going to place it exactly like this. And once again, you're trimming. When you're trimming this strip, make sure you trim it on the inner side, so you're leaving this part here. The reason being, you're going to attach the next strip, you're going to glue the next strip, the next color over here. So you are going to cut it a little inside, like this. Now with the leftovers, I have 2 cutters here that I'm going to use, 2 different sizes. Once again, if you don't have these kind of cutters, as I mentioned earlier, you could use your nozzles, your piping nozzles, and use one small nozzle there and one large. So in that same sheet there, you're going to cut circles like this, and we want the same number of circles as, so the both of them, you know, the bigger circles and the smaller circles are going to be the same, because we are going to put them one on top of the other. have 5 circles here, 5 bigger ones, and I'm going to cut 5 smaller ones. Again, apply some glue on the smaller circle there and place it on the bigger ones. Now, before you start gluing, just place them and see how many you fit in. Let's push this one on top there. So roughly I would fit in sort of 2.5 there, or 3. Now, I'm going to place 3 of them there. So once you're happy with their positions, glue them. Don't be in a rush to glue before you know where you want to place them and how many you want to place, because that would stain your sugar paste there. Now, let's start with the next color here. That's our orange. Again, a bit of dust there. And roll a thick sheet of orange, slightly elongated, which is around 0.3 to 0.4 millimeters there. And then we need to roll it a little more. Just a bit. Perfect. So now I'm going to use my pasta cutter here because there are 2 straight lines there, and this will be a lot faster. You can use your regular knife, but I suppose every one of us would have a pasta cutter at home. And just trim off those sides there. If you feel anything has stretched, make sure you have trimmed it off. Place it and check before you glue anything. Now, just trim off Once you're happy, glue it. Now when you're gluing, make sure that this is still sliding and it's not stuck onto your mat there. Now roll your leftover orange into a thin sheet to outline and to cut those bubbles there. Roll it into an elongated sheet here. Now this would be thinner. Again, if you're not very comfortable rolling it freehand like this, you can use dough bars so that you have even thickness there each time that you're using. Now, let's cut strips. They have to be 1 centimeter thick. You can use a scale to measure them. And let's start gluing it here. Apply some glue on the edges. And place your strip. Same thing on the other end. And then over here, but before that, let's trim off any extra that we would have. Now with the leftover, let's cut our circles there. This is a real fun cake, especially if you have kids. I would recommend you to work with your kids with this cake. Ask them to cut all these circles there. They would love to help you and they would enjoy making this cake and eating this cake with you. Let's roll some orange. Now we are going to roll this slightly thicker. And cut the smaller ones. This again depends on how you want it to look like, which side of the fidget toy that you want to look. So let's glue this. And paste it in the center. Now place it and check the position. Once you're happy with the placement, glue it. Gently lift it and put it back. Now I realize that the upper circle, the smaller one, if it's slightly thicker, it looks much better. So we are going to stick to the thickness of 0.5 mm for these circles here and 0.2 millimeters for the bigger circle. Now let's roll on the next color, that's yellow. Just apply a bit of cornstarch and roll a thick sheet there. Place your template and cut it out. Same thing on the other side. And let's glue it here. Apply a bit of glue and stick it. Now let's roll the remaining pieces into thinner strips there. You don't need a lot, so you can just roll these pieces and cut out some strips there. And let's glue it up here. And trim off the excess. this. Now let's cut one more strip and paste on either sides.